Are we going to discuss week 5 or are we going to revise week 4?
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yeah,
Vasu, you are not audible, I guess.
it should be. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
No.
Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
No, I was asking, are we uh, kind of looking at week 5 or are we also revising week 4? Just checking.
Um, First, we will go through some of the topics of week 5.
Okay.
Then we can go through week 4. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's cover. Have you gone through the lectures of week 5? Generics.
No, because I'm still like stuck with week 4 and revising for the exam. So I haven't, which is why I was asking this question.
Okay. So week 5 actually requires watching lectures.
I
Um,
know, I know, I know. All of them require. Well,
Okay, I will try to cover a small topic, not small, it's a big topic actually. And we will cover week 5 again. No issues in that. Okay, let me start. So, what are the primitive data types in Java? Anyone?
int, float, double, string, not string,
Uh,
uh, byte,
Boolean.
byte, short,
Yeah, correct.
and boolean.
Yeah. So, Java also provides object data types or wrapper classes for these primitive data types. If you see this table here, for byte, we have wrapper class byte. Everything starting with a capital letter. So we have short wrapper class, integer for int, long for long, and this float for a float, double, boolean, and character for char. So these are like object data types. Okay, so just remember that, and just see how we can convert basic type or primitive data type to wrapper class. So if we have a variable like int x equal to 5, then next we are declaring another variable with, or we are creating the object of integer wrapper class. Then if we use this integer kind of typecasting, so we can convert this particular primitive data type to wrapper class, I mean integer object type. Okay, and the third line, here it is doing the opposite, which means the wrapper class is converting back to primitive data type. So for that we have a method called int value, and similarly for byte we have byte value to convert back to primitive data type, and for double we have double value. So autoboxing is the term that we use that we use for the conversion between base type and wrapper types. Okay, and since we already have primitive data type, why we need these kinds of wrapper classes is a question, right? For that, we have to learn one more topic called generics. Generics in Java is very important, and I'm going to take that now. Is wrapper class fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you remember polymorphism, this is related to, I think, polymorphism we have already discussed in, I guess, week 1, right? So, again, it will be like a revision. So what is polymorphism? Anyone? Can you tell the word meaning of polymorphism? Poly means many and morph means forms. Many forms, which means a single thing can act differently in different scenarios. A real life example is we can consider one man, okay, and he will be an employee in a office. He'll be working as an employee in an office, and when he comes to his house, he'll be a son to his parents, right? So the same man is acting as an employee and then as a son, which means different forms. He's taking different form in different scenarios. So in Java, we have already learned all these terms. We just have to mix together. You remember method overriding, overloading, right? So we have two type of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism and the other one is runtime polymorphism. Anyone remember which is runtime polymorphism? Dynamic.
Runtime is dynamic dispatch, right?
Yeah, correct. Dynamic dispatch. So, sorry, spelling. So, in runtime polymorphism or dynamic dispatch, what happens is when we have a class, parent class, and inside that parent class, we have a method like run. And consider we have another class B which extends A. Okay. And here also we have a method called run. Now, if I create an object of, first I'm using reference variable of type A and initializing this with the object of type B. Now, if I try to call the method run, which method will be invoked? Can anyone please? This run or the run from A class?
A na? Sorry, A dot run.
A dot run will invoke the method from
B.
the class
No,
B or A.
class A, class A.
Class B's run.
Can I fix class A?
Class A, right? Because A doesn't have access to methods from class B.
But see, the object is of type B.
Yeah, object is of type B, but
So it's run from class B will be invoked. This is dynamic dispatch, right? See, what happens is during compile time, just remember.
so we have that example, right? We have that standard example, right? Employee and manager,
yeah.
right? So here, if A is employee,
Mm.
right? Will it have access to methods in manager?
No, actually, we are creating the reference of employee, but we are not, and we are initializing with object of manager.
Oh, I think there is a question of this kind. Oh, you go ahead. I'll just look for that question because
This is a very important topic. This we can create object of child class using the reference of parent class, and then when we call the method run, then this method which is in child class will be invoked. Okay. Why? Because during runtime, the object created is of type B. This type. So this run will be in effect. Okay? Any doubt?
Can you explain it again, ma'am? Just this part. Why it's B versus A? Sorry.
Okay. So let's see in the view of compiler. What happens during compiler? From here, okay? So here we are creating, see, A. So we are creating a reference variable of type A. So here, according to the compiler, this reference variable is of type A. Fine. And this particular thing, new B, creation of object, allocation of this object, memory in heap, everything takes place at runtime. So in compile time, even though the reference variable is of type A, during runtime, when it actually executes, then the object created is of type B. So that object will get the method, this method, right? Nearest method, we can say the nearest method. Is it fine now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's why the method in this particular class B will be invoked. Okay, since it is taking place at runtime, that's why this polymorphism is called as runtime polymorphism. And this dynamic means something which takes place at runtime. That's why the word itself is dynamic dispatch, runtime polymorphism. Okay. So here we learn two things.
Ma'am, can you look at graded assignment 3? I mean, there's a similar question here. It's very confusing.
But I can't discuss graded assignment in
No,
conversation.
week 3. It's over.
But still, we are not permitted to discuss graded assignment.
Why, ma'am? It's over. I mean, the
Why?
answers are released and everything. So why would not?
Because it's public, right?
Yeah, because there's a question there. Okay, maybe TA session we can.
Can you find something similar in practice?
Okay, let me look for it.
Okay. It's giving output in both cases. I mean,
Ma'am, just a small question. Hello.
yeah.
Am I audible? What is today's agenda? Actually, calendar was not updated in the morning, so I thought there won't be any class today. And just now I saw that calendar got updated. What is today's agenda? So I am a bit late.
Week 5.
Week 5.
That's a week 5 we are discussing. Okay.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, kindly update all the links in calendar, YouTube links. The YouTube links are not updated in calendar.
Yeah, okay.
For all the previous session.
Okay.
And whether Arup sir has joined today?
No.
Okay, he's not there.
So it says something on the top web, subclass or class or interface, both.
Yes, I think it shows for both class and subclass.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah, just go up, back. Just say back.
No,
just go back.
You should look it up.
Just go back.
Means
It's on the previous page, the search page,
Yeah,
ma'am.
main page.
Okay.
You just go on the top.
Google
Java
summarizes the result. Yeah.
Just as an object is instance of a specified
class or subclass or interface. Okay. Right, but still.
So if it was a different class, then obviously we don't need to check. But
Try to learn each of the topics separately. Don't mix up. I think there will be confusion between method overriding and dynamic dispatch. But
Ma'am,
yeah.
Ma'am, I thought overriding and dynamic dispatch were one and the same thing. As in Java, you can override methods via dynamic dispatch.
Yeah, that can be. But it's different. Anyway, it's different. Which method to call is decided by compiler in method overriding. But
Yes, ma'am. And that is at runtime.
yeah, that is biggest difference.
Yes, ma'am. But But that is overriding, Alina, that you are using the same function, same signature, but different implementation. Only it happens at runtime due to dynamic dynamic dispatch takes care of it at runtime. But this is overriding. No?
Overriding one step further, we can say that. I don't know it's technically right or wrong, but
Okay.
if you understand that thing, when it is resolved, then fine.
Okay.
Okay. I have not yet started week 5. If you have any doubt, like in week 1 to 4, or should I go through week 4 again because quiz 1 is coming, or should I go through week 5? It's up to you.
Ma'am, for quiz one, you can give some like revise the topics or something which are related to quiz one. That will be more better.
First thing I want to tell is, please clear this thing. We can create child object with reference from parent type. Other than that, if you have go through all the topics, one revision session will be there anyway. Is abstract classes and interfaces clear? The difference?
Abstract classes, to be abstract classes are clear. Interfaces, I have not got a handle on what are they exactly meant for. I mean, how does it help to have an interface? Coding is like, okay, I mean, I've kind of, maybe I can manage, but what is the point of interface is not clear.
Why we have interface when we have abstract class? Is that so?
Or more than that, what is the real, like Prof had mentioned that it helps you create capabilities. If they're private, you can't access, but you can access through interface and things like that. But what is it exactly? I've not understood. Maybe others have understood, but I have not. Like, I'm really breaking my head.
No, not understood. Same
One
here.
thing-
Stay on the same boat.
One thing, one very important, important thing that interface offer is multiple inheritance. So in class, we can't extend from 2 class, right? But interface we can implement from 2, or like we have a limit like 65,000 something classes, interfaces. So multiple inheritance is supported using interfaces. That is one advantage we can say. Other than that, mostly the functionalities that interfaces provide us is similar to abstract classes, but with some difference.
Yeah, like, would you have an example where, let's say, we had to do something, we just won't be able to do it without, let's say, without an interface?
Yeah.
Would you be able to give us an example? Like for example, abstract class is easy. Like, easy in the sense that, okay, you have some methods, you define some, you don't. You define some default methods, it applies to everyone. Some specific methods, you may define it in the subclasses, right? Because it's only relevant for the subclasses. Or, those things are clear to me.
Yeah.
But what is the point of interface? Or is there an example, like Prof gave an example of all that, booking a railway ticket and all that, but honestly, I have not understood. I'll go through it again. But is there a place where, simple example where we wouldn't be able to do this if there wasn't an interface?
Without interface. Okay. Yeah, we will discuss about collection interface in the coming weeks actually. So, if you remember, we have discussed in week 1 about abstraction, right? So, where we will have only interface, we will have access to interface, we can use that. We don't know the implementation. So, if you remember, array list, linked list, we have used these terms somewhere. So, these are like some data structures that we use. So, we get the interface of these kinds of collections. So, that is one usage of interface, which means we are getting something but we don't know the inner part, inside implementation. For that we need interface. That is the importance of interface.
No, I can get that through a, like, even if the like if there is another class and I can just access the method, I don't know how that method is implemented in the other class. That also is the same thing, right? I don't know the implementation, but I know how to call the method.
Uh, but uh, but you have to create the object. But in the case of collection interface, when you start implementing in like in a code, you will see how we use collection interface. That is very different. I mean, not very different, but it's somewhat different from how we deal with classes.
Okay.
So yeah, I think don't get more confused here. One thing you can do is we will have. I think you are confused where we are using actually this interface. Why actually we need interface? So this everything will come under collection interface, and when you see collection interface, it's actually amazing. Java provides many different types of collections. So when you try to learn about these, you will come to understand the importance of interface. Okay, now for the time being, try to understand the modifier. When we have an interface, whatever method we declare are abstract, and only if we declare it as default, then we can implement inside the interface. So these and all these concepts, just focus on the concepts in the first few weeks, and everything that we learn will have a connection with the coming weeks. That will help. And this curiosity or the wonder you have now, everything is actually good, because coming weeks you will come to understand, okay, this is why I learned this in that week. Got it?
Yeah, hopefully. Okay.
Yeah. So I think concepts are clear. You are just thinking why it is actually here, isn't it?
I won't say concepts are clear because I still don't know the purpose of inheritance, right? Like, why would it be? Why is it required at all? So,
Okay. Code reusability. Have you heard of that word? So, so we are taking always the example of employee class, right? Inside again we can, I mean, create manager class. We only limited to learning employee and manager class, but imagine in a company we have not just this employee as a manager. We have many different sections of these kinds of, like, not just managers, but the one who work in some other section, account section, uh, like many different categories, but everyone will have the common fields like name, age, address, etc. So is it possible? It's possible, but which is better, to write the code again and again, or using something we already have and adding something additional to it?
I do it as a subclass and use the super method.
Yes, that's what we are doing, right? In
Yeah, but
subclass.
then why do I need interface? That's my question. See, that's what I'm not able to understand. If I can do it through that, why do I need an interface additionally?
uh,
So it's okay, ma'am. I mean, we'll probably, like you said, later on we'll understand. See, there's
okay.
this one.
Ma'am, like for the quiz one, the question paper, can you revise some of the question papers? So the type of questions where is going to come in the quiz one?
I think you will have a mock quiz before that, right?
Ma'am, that will be only one session, no? So we can have.
They've released the mock paper, I think.
The questions will be very similar to practice and graded. So try to practice, try to understand each of the line of the code. You can make through it.
Ma'am, are we planning to revise any concept today or anything like what is?
And then should I go through week 5?
No, no. Even if we are planning to revise something, let us let us get into.
Um, I think week 5 will be stuck there. I had one plan, so I will take that particular topic and we'll go through revision. Okay. So let's go through structural polymorphism. So imagine we have to create a method, like we have to sort something, and we can create method like which will take an array of integer and it will return after sorting. So this is a return type, this is the argument type, public int sort. So this is one method, and if I want to sort an array of strings or float, then I have to create one more method with float as return type and float as argument type. And if I have to create one more sort method for string, I mean if I have to sort a string array, then I have to create one more sort method. So can we have a single sort method which will sort anything it takes, whether it is an integer array, float array, or not boolean, string array? I want to get output as a sorted list. Can we have such a method, a single method? We can say a generalized method which will take anything, any type of array, and I will get the result very perfectly. Is this possible? As far as you know about Java. Anyone? Nobody is there.
Ma'am, I guess the fundamental concept is a challenge. That's the reason I guess people.
You can inherit via some implementation sort,
Mm-hmm.
and then every class has its own definition.
Okay. Other than that?
And from what we've learned so far?
Yeah. Like, do we have the provision of using a particular array which can store anything? I will give a clue.
Object array.
Yes. So, if we try to create a method with return type object and which takes an array of object and it will do the sorting and will return the object. Okay, object array. So here this works because object is the superclass of all the objects in the Java, right? So inside this we can initialize anything. We can give an integer array or we can also give a string array. At the same time, this object array can also take what? A mix of, or we can say an heterogeneous array, 1, 2.0. This is an int value and this is a bool value. And again an int value. So this object...
2.0 is bool or float?
Sorry, it's float. It's float. So this object array can take any values. So this is permissible. But because of this, just because of this, we will have many different issues, like we are losing the homogeneity. Homogeneity means similar. So in the case of an integer array, if we declare an array as an integer, then the values that we have to assign are of only integer type. But if we declare an array of object, we can give anything. So this particular freedom of assigning any kind of values actually actually is an issue like we lose homogeneity. Okay. And the second case is whenever this object array returns the values, and if we try to access the values, it will be difficult for us to assign, because if I try to assign this, if I sort this array and if I get after sorting, yeah, this is a sorted array. After sorting, we'll get this. And if I try to access one of the values like O of 0 equal to, sorry, x equal to O of 0, if I try to access like this, what should be the type of x? That will be a confusion, right? If we give integer x, but this is of object type, these values will be of object type, so we have to typecast here. So the thing is, whatever the values that we stored here, even though it's of type integer, float, etc., its type is lost. We can say that we don't know what is the type of the values. Even if you try to convert or typecast, it will raise issues. So that is one disadvantage of using object array in order to have a generalized method for every kind of every type of values. So in Java we have you got this point? Hello? Nobody is interested in week 5.
Ma'am, what did you ask?
Like, have you got this?
Oh, yes.
Should I do one small programming related to this?
Yes, ma'am. That will be very easy to understand.
Yeah. So we are trying to get a generalized method which will work on every type of variables or array. So what is the return type? I will do another program for reverse. Okay. Concept is same. This is for swapping. Yeah.
Sorry for a silly question, but why was void an incorrect thing there?
Because this is the return type. That was like different return type. Void is return type, right?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here see the code. It's taking an object array and reversing the values. So if we give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the output will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So first in main method, I'm giving this, I'm declaring one array x with these values. It has both integer values and float values. And we have another array object y, which I'm expecting the result of reverse of x, so that it will call this function and will get the values here. And now I'm trying to access the value of the last value. So what will be the output here? What will be the output? Reverse will be, the code is to reverse the array. This will be inside y. So if you see here, the last element is of type integer. We know that. And we are declaring a variable x of integer type, and we are accessing the value, fourth value. Index 4 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one, 1. But still we are getting error like x is already int not found. This, take this, okay? Or we can change this word. Okay, this is also be creating an issue. So see the error here. Incompatible types. Object cannot be converted to int here. So there is no implicit conversion, even though it's a int value. This is of now type object. So what we have to do is to get the output. That's why we learned wrapper class in the beginning. Okay. Now, how can we convert this primitive type to wrapper or object type? Anyone?
AS type conversion. AS type.
AS type. Sorry. So we have to convert this y1
Type,
of
typecasting.
typecasting with which value?
To integer from object. Float to integer.
It's not float value. See, the fourth value is already int. It's primitive data type, but because we did it with object array, now it has lost what its value is, type value.
Okay.
So we need to mention again what is that type. Still. So we got the output as 1. Now have we got that the term type information is lost means?
Like okay, like it regardless if it is float or int, if it has been added to the object category, so that has lost its type. So we are specifying integer because we know the last element of the reverse list is an integer, right? Now,
Yeah.
if we do not have the idea like how will it we should use or the integer is the universally applicable conversion of that.
Yeah, that's an issue, right? So we can't use object array for this generalizing method. So we have another option. That's why generics comes into place. Just because of these two issues, so we have two problems when we use such kind of object array. One is type information is lost, we need to cast every time. And the second thing is list need not be homogeneous. So that is also a disadvantage. Is this clear till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now comes generic programming. So the word itself says generic. So something generalizing. So here what it is generalizing is type. So we can develop a method. See here. I'll see with an example. So here we are specifying object array. In place of object array, we are giving type parameter. Listen carefully. So here the temp object is of type T. And what else here? Okay, fine. Now, one thing about generic programming is here we can't pass primitive data types. We should always have wrapper class. Only object data types are allowed. Okay, that's why we can't pass. If simply we write int, it won't accept. So if you see here how we declare a generic method. What is generic method? This method can be used for any data type. How we can make a method as generic? So what we want, the aim is we need a reverse method which will take any type of array, whether it is integer, string, float, anything, and we have to get the return value. I mean, we have to reverse the list and we have to get that list. So this t here means it can be anything, like it should not be just t, it can be anything, but just because we are focusing on type, it's called as type parameter or quantifier. So we have to specify this particular thing within angle bracket. We have to specify T. Then it is considered as generic method. And after that, we have to specify the return type. So return type T. Here it can be anything. It can be int. It will accept anything. It will accept integer, string, anything. And this is the argument type. Argument type can also be any type. Okay. So here we are creating object of type. So if you start from here, we created one array of type integer. So now say what is the type of T? If you call reverse of x1, what will be the type of T? I'll tell again. 13th line, we are creating an array of type integer and we are calling this generic method by passing that particular array. So this array is of type integer and the generic method needs a type from the object we pass. So what will be the type of this method now when we invoke the method?
Integer.
Integer, yes. So according to the object we pass, this T will change for that particular time. Now got it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the syntax. This particular thing, angle bracket, inside we have to specify one thing, type parameter, and then the return type should be in this way because it's an array, and here. So here what we
The first parameter also we need to specify. Reverse one, that parameter will come automatically, whatever it is. But the first input parameter, do we need to specify?
input, yeah, yes.
So input is the first T bracket one, na? Then the
Yeah.
reverse one will be the return type.
Yes, this T will be the return type. But anyway, since we are passing an integer type, both will be integer. That is one point actually. Because we are passing an integer type. Oh, sorry. So this T will be integer for all of this method. Okay, because this is a generic method, this T will be integer. It will take an integer array now and it will also return an integer array back.
Let us say the x1, that list we are writing IITM is one of the parameters, string, and also float is 5.0. If you're adding that, so what will be the change in the first second line?
It won't work. It won't work. Because we are introducing generic method because we had problems with object array. What was one disadvantage? Losing homogeneity, right? So we don't want that to happen here. So we are already restricted that particular thing. This array should be of integer and that will be passed into this method and we'll get return type as of integer. And we can try with string now. Let it be here. So we'll create string array. I think we got hash code.
Ma'am,
Let's take.
you got the array, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. This is also wrong again. No, again some issues. We'll reverse the array and then we'll try to access one of the values. This will work, I guess. Yeah, we got def. So
ABCD, acha, you are only 0, 1. Okay, ma'am. Then for the integer one, you made separately to, one is the forward and second one is the reverse. Similarly, for the string ones also you made it. But if the list contains variety, for example, integer, float, and string, so that reverse in generic we cannot do. Is it
no,
right?
we can't do. Yeah,
We can or we cannot.
we cannot do.
Acha.
Okay. So when it comes to sorting string also, I mean not sorting, reversing string also it works. So this t will be string now, and according to that everything will work and we'll get the reverse. Everyone got this? Any doubt? This is a very important topic.
Ma'am, then if that can I not convert that into whole as string and then reverse?
Repeat.
For example, I will say, let us say some name Ram Haj. He he's a current student of IITM based student 2023. So it contains string, it contains numbers. What I want to do is that complete thing I want to reverse. So in that case, do I need to convert like the string one completely that as a string, then reverse it?
Like you are telling like this or
Yes. And then some integers,
yeah, this will work because when we put
you are
into
converting that as a string. Okay.
yeah, but it won't give the output that you want. I guess so. Even 701 comes first. Numbers comes first. It's reverse actually. So it's just reversing the value. The second will be this. Third will be this. Fourth will be this. Right.
Ma'am, then 01 should, 01 has come, 701. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the difference from Python to here is that we have to explicitly name it as string. Python forces anything declared as string even if you don't put the double quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Python is dynamic type language and Java is static type language. So we have to specify whatever the data type. Data type is must. Okay. So and one more thing we can do here is if you got here, if you see, we have already told that this t can take anything, right? It can take string, int, float, anything. Suppose you want to limit this t type to take only int, float, etc. such kind of number values. So we can restrict the type of t by using extends keyword. Now we got an error because T can now take only int float, only the subtype that comes under number. So we are restricting the type of T. Okay. This is called as bounding. And just go through this covariant. You have to learn what is covariant. So if you remember, this is
Ma'am, where you restricted tills number means the integer. Can you also include string? So apart from integer and string, if integer then float will not accept, no? If you're extending string and float, let us say I am restricting for the two list, two inputs. One is integer and second one is the string. Then the third input, like if my list will be string s, will be float, then it will not accept.
No, I guess no, because it will confuse.
So I cannot do two things, right? Extend only only one.
You can extend number, and one more thing is, if you are restricting with everything, then why we need generic method?
So float I will be there, no?
You want to exclude float or
yes, exclude float, include integer and string.
I have not tried that. Yeah, you have to look on that. Okay.
Yes, take it.
So the next thing is, this is one thing we know from the beginning. If we create an employee array E, then we can store manager values, manager objects, right? This is legal. In employee array, we can store manager objects. And that particular thing is called as covariant, or we can say Java array typing is covariant. If you see here, there is a class called ticket, and e-ticket is a class that inherit from a ticket class. So if we create an array of e-ticket, then we are trying to assign the e-ticket values to ticket array. This is legal, but this is called as Java array typing, covariant. But in the case of generic classes are not covariant. What does it mean? If you see here, linked list string is not compatible with linked list object. So if we create something like this and we are trying to assign the value of, we will do the opposite thing, right? Linked list object equal to linked list string. So that we can't do. Remember that. One more thing is, we learned only about generic methods here. We can also have generic classes. So for generic classes, we will specify the type here. Okay, and if you specify the type, if I specify a class as generic type, here if we take T, and again if we specify this method as a generic method with T in angle bracket, if we give the quantifier here, this T and this T will be different, which means this T will become hidden. Okay, so if you don't want to make like that, you can just avoid this particular thing so that it will work fine.
Ma'am, if you still had the quantifier,
Mm-mm.
And then the main had another function with t. Then that t would be the mains t, right?
Actually, you have to do this in separate class, and main class should be different. Now I am doing everything together, na? That's why.
Ma'am, if main had another method, another function with t,
Mm,
like public static, okay, that's the same. But if there
yeah.
was another function with t, that would be the mains t, no? No?
No, if we again specify another t in another method,
No, ma'am. Ma'am, but this quantifier t is only applicable to this method, right? Reverse. For the purpose of reverse, the mains t is hidden, and it uses the quantifier given in reverse, right? If you
yeah.
were, but if there was another method, for example, like whatever,
Uh,
and that also had t, but there was no quantifier, that would use mains t, right?
yes, that's yeah. Yeah, that will be.
Okay. It only hides it for the function where the quantifier is.
When we specify again, it will hide.
Yes.
Otherwise, it won't. So, um, we can also use question mark as wildcard. This is called as wildcard. Without specifying t, we can just use question mark here. Okay. This will also work completely fine. And but we can't confuse the compiler like this using question mark at one while creating the reference variable and while creating the object. If we specify a type, then it will give compile time error. Okay. Now, as we have bounded type here, we can also have bounded wildcard. So wildcard is nothing but that usage of question mark. So we can use the same keyword extends, which will limit the uh, type. Okay. So here see, draw all linked list is extends shape, which means bounding to shape. So erasure, leave that for now. Okay. So type erasure and reflection will be covered next. Okay. So let's go through previous weeks. I think everyone is more interested in that.
Ma'am, I have
Let's,
a practice question doubt in week 4. Would you be able to
yeah,
just there?
practice
Okay.
question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Let
I have
me,
solved that, but I am getting one error. If you can just find the error, please.
okay.
Ma'am, shall I share the screen?
Okay, you can share. Yeah.
Ma'am, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, visible.
Ma'am, the error you can see what the error I'm getting.
This is MLP.
No, is it not showing the Java?
No, it's showing MLP.
Okay.
Oh, this is MLP.
Ma'am, is it showing now?
Yes, yes. Working the process. Above one. Maybe that V, small letter
Yeah,
V and capital
last
V.
line.
This one,
Yeah,
capital V.
yeah. Yes, done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Mm, if you have any doubt here in basics of Java, like the beginning, anyone?
So, yeah, I did have, but when I actually wanted that to register for that mentoring as well. But I don't know if it was me. I never got any email from support team to register for that mentoring thing. So
Oh,
I'm currently like going through the NCRT. So in CBSE, I think they teach Java in class 9, 10. It's very
okay.
simple way of teaching Java. So I'm figuring it out on myself. But I would like to go for that mentoring if support team allows me, because it's very confusing, to be honest. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you didn't receive anything.
I got for Mad One, but for Java I didn't get that mentoring thing. So I'll try to see if I can join now in some way or form. Yeah.
Yeah, I will ask about this. Okay. Can you write one mail to support team or
Sure, ma'am.
okay?
I have texted Phoenix ERR, I guess. That's the course TA, I think. I don't know.
Course T is Vaishnavi.
Yeah, Vaishnavi Divedi.
Ah, correct.
Yeah, I have texted her on this thing. Let me check. I'll write a mail as well. Thank you.
Okay. Let's do some small programs then. Or let's take the second question of coding. So many topics are covered inside this, like copy constructor, use of this keyword.
Oh, we can't see your screen if you are sharing something.
Oh, sorry. let's debug later. First, let's see how it works. So here, employee E1 does a set of projects. Employee E2 also does all the projects did by E1 except the first project, in place of which E2 does another project. So write a program that defines two classes, employee and main. Define copy constructor to create E2 from E1 in such a way that changing the values of instance variables of either E2 or E1 should not affect the other one. The code takes name of E2 and new project did by E2 as input. So actually we are focusing on creating a copy constructor. So we will pass the already created object and then we will create a new object. So E1 will be the first object, and then using this E1 we will create E2. Okay. So in class employee we have private instance variables string name and string projects to store name and projects. So we have name projects. Next we have the constructor. So constructor taking name and project and initializing here. Okay. And then this is what we can say parameterized constructor. Next we will declare copy constructor. Copy constructor will help us to create an object from already existing object. So we are passing an object of employee. When we say that we are passing an object of employee, it will be coming with name and projects, right? So we are using the name of e dot name that will be given to the newly created object name, and then this is like projects.length. So we are getting the projects to that projects we are assigning to the projects variable of newly created employee object. So for that we are using this particular code here for each of the index position I. Projects of 0 means we will get the project's value of the E object, and we will assign each of these into the newly created object. That's how copy constructor works here. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
the 11th and 12th line, can you just explain that?
This is just to find the length of that array that we pass from employee E, and then we are creating an array of that length so that we can store the project values.
Okay.
Okay. And we are assigning each of the values into the new array, this array. So this should be an array. That's why we were getting that error. Here also it's array. Okay. Now this is just set name. So accessors and modifiers. So set name is a modifier to set the value of the variable name, and set project will take index position and the project name. Then it will assign that value to that particular index position. Okay. Next is get name. Get name is used to return the name, and then we have one more accessor, get project. So we'll pass the index value and we'll get the value, project at that particular index value. So Is it clear? Employee class? Should I explain again?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Okay. Focus on this part. This is our main thing, copy constructor. Now, in main method, we are having a string array. We are taking the values of project inside this. Next, what is the error here? Anyway, employee E1, we are creating an object of employee type, and we are giving the value of name as Surya and project, this project array. Next, we are trying to create another object E2, and we are not passing any new values. We are passing this E1. Okay. So now E2 will get whatever E1 has, the name and the projects. Now, next thing, what in our question told, see, one more thing it is like the code takes name of the E2 and new project did by E2. So for that, we are using this. We are taking the value using se.next, and we are calling the set name for the object E2, and we will change the name. Then again we will call e2.setProject with the new project that is done by second object E2. At last we are printing name and project at a 0th index of both the object. Is code clear? We have some error. Print projects of index. Legal initializer.
Ma'am, length of the array is not required here, right?
But then we have to take p.projects.length here, right?
Ma'am, in main function, like while initializing. string array proj equals string array 3 or something. No need.
No need. We can do that way also.
No, it's okay.
Uh,
That's not the issue.
Both will work actually.
Okay,
You can
that's not
find
that's not the issue.
No. What is the issue here? I think, yeah. While copy pasting, it got mixed. It's taking time. Let me. I don't know why replica is taking so. Let me check with this. Yeah, it's working fine. Okay. Is this okay? Explanation is fine, or should I explain again? Everyone left?
No, ma'am, we are here. You can explain once more.
Okay. So here we have this employee class. The aim is we are creating a new object from the existing object, and we are trying to modify the second created object. And when we do this, it should not affect each other. Both objects should be independent of each other. So in class employee, we have string name and then an array string projects. Next, we are having a parameterized constructor which will take name and the project. Now, next we have a copy constructor. Copy constructor will take an object of employee and then it will assign the values that we passed into this particular E to the newly created object. So that newly created object will get value of name and project from the passed object. So here we have this dot name means here this this refers to the newly created object, and E will refer to the object that we pass. For example, here we are passing new employee E1, E2 equal to new employee E1. Then tell me this E will be what?
E1.
E2.
E1, not E2. We are passing E1. Now, this dot name will point to name instance variable in object E1 or E2.
That will be E2.
E2, yeah. So, E2 dot name is equal to E1 dot name. And next, we are trying to get the length of
Then that will be project 1 length. Hello.
Hello, is it over?
No, I think ma'am got disconnected. So
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Nawal, are you there, Nawal?
Hello everyone. Cobra will join in 5 minutes. So please wait. Okay. Hello.
Anyhow, man, now time is up, so you can wind up also.
Okay. So you want to wind up the session?
No, we can take others' input also. It was just
Okay. Okay. Let me check if she joined early. There's some technical issue in her laptop. Okay.
ma'am, nowadays whether Arup sir comes only on Thursday, Friday or what? Sorry, not Friday, Saturday class.
I'm not sure, but I think he will join on Saturday session.
Okay. So who will be taking that revision session on Thursday?
I think Cobra will take the session.
Okay.
Maybe Arup sir will also join. I will ask him. Okay, I think we need to wind up the session for today. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, ma'am.